Time for the main event!
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you like the content, hit the subscribe button, leave a like down below. So it sounds like the Nintendo Switch 2 version of WWE 2K26 has some exclusive features. And it might be the version to get this year, despite everything. So let's go over to WrestleZone, where they have a full breakdown of the Nintendo Switch 2 version. And we also have some news about community creations being cross-community creations with PC, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch. Might be some potentially upsetting news there. And I've been calling it, saying it since day one, but it looks like I could be right. Anyway, without further ado, let's go check out this information. Alright, here we are over on WrestleZone. And they have posted here a ton of information about the game. Make sure you go over to their website, give them some traffic, because they have a ton of great information I don't really see anybody else talking about. At least nobody I watch, but holy crap, they got so much information here. Let's check it out. It says Nintendo Switch 2 version sees a massive upgrade from last year. It says the WWE 2K26 press release unveiled the following information about the Switch 2 version of this year's game. It says WWE 2K26 on Nintendo Switch 2 will offer several additional features made possible through Nintendo Switch 2's unique hardware, including touchscreen. Ooh, that sounds awesome. And mouse support. I was wondering if they were going to implement that. That's huge for creators. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I've never played the games on PC, so you'll have to let me know in the comments down below if the PC version has had mouse controls for like creation tools and stuff. But a touchscreen, does that mean you can zoom in and out, move like? Oh, if it has a stylus that you can get and actually draw patterns on the person or their clothing, that's huge. That'll be massive for creators this year. Of course, it'll have game share and game chat support, their new game thing, which they're going to start charging for this year at some point. Support for single Joy-Con gameplay. Ooh. If you recall, I made a video saying like I think it was my 7 most things I wanted to see in the game, or my 7 wish list, whatever you want to call it, 7 items for a wish list. And one of those was simple controls, because the controls have gotten way blown out of proportion now. Every button has multiple functions, and if you stop playing it for a while, you're going to forget how to play it. Or if you haven't played the games for a couple of years, you're going to jump in and be like, whoa, what the heck is going on? And a lot of people might drop it because the controls are so complicated. Like, my brother doesn't want to play these games because the controls are so complicated. He's like, what happened to the old simple controls that we used to have? Like, there was strong strike, weak strike, strong grapple, weak grapple. You had counter, you had Irish whip, and then, of course, you had, like, your run button, right? It was very, very simple back then, like Aki controls. Anybody could pick it up and play, but it was very deep to master, or very difficult to master. With that being said, maybe with this Joy-Con setup, maybe across the board on other systems too, maybe they finally implemented a simple controls option. That would be freaking huge. It sounds like they've really overhauled the controls and the countering system and stuff like that. Maybe this is part of it. That would be super awesome if we got simple controls, much like in Street Fighter or fighting games. Like, I think Tekken did it also. Even, what was it, Killer Instinct, the newest one that's on Xbox. I hope they make a sequel to that. Killer Instinct's awesome. That has a simple control option or simple combo system, so to make it more accessible, right? That would help these games immensely. Like, if your little brother comes in and he can't really mash the controls because they all do 50 million different things, well, here you go. Simple controls. That's awesome. All right, let's continue reading here. Sorry, I took a little minute for that. And the ability to use mouse controls in the creation suite. Now, that is huge for creators that don't have the ability to mod or anything. Like, modders obviously have mouse and keyboard controls to pretty much mod the game. But for us normal people that don't know how to do that, or don't have the technical skills to do that, I should put it that way, this is huge. Imagine having mouse controls to where you can like drag and drop things, move stuff around. That's massive for the creation suite. That's huge. I hope they have some new system for the Creative Championship, so you can really adjust things like fine-tunely. Because for the Creative Championship in particular, for me, I don't really go like absolutely nuts with my championship, but I would if it had a better setup. So this will go a long way with placing like images on your suit or tattoos and just giving everything perfect. Or heck, it sounds like you'll be able to do face and body painting with, is that just, hold on, let me read this. It says it'll support single Joy-Con play and the ability to use mouse controls in Creation Suite for face and body painting. You might be able to draw your own face paint finally. You might be able to draw your own body paint, kind of like the Ultimate Warrior did. That's huge in indie wrestling and just wrestling in general for all those guys that had their own face paint. Think of Sting, the Road Warriors, Ultimate Warrior, Demolition. I'm trying to think of all the guys with face paint. You know, all the cool dudes that had face paint back then. There you go. Now you can actually make your own and make it unique. That is awesome. I'm going to have a lot of fun with this. And then it goes on to say the Nintendo Switch 2 version of the game will also now support Image Uploader, Ka-ching, and cross-platform community creations with, obviously, it didn't say which consoles, but I'm guessing it's Xbox and PlayStation 5. So that's huge. This last thing here, right here, will now support Image Uploader. That was my biggest complaint with 2K25 on the Nintendo Switch 2. In fact, because it didn't have that and it didn't have cross-platform community creations, I pretty much dropped it immediately on the Nintendo Switch 2, and I think it didn't sell very well once that information got out there. It played great, it functioned great, it worked just as good as the other systems. It just didn't look quite as good because it didn't support HDR, or didn't have HDR support. Hopefully they figure that out in this game. But for a first outing, it looked and ran fantastic on the Switch 2. Now with this, all these new features, I kind of want to get the Switch 2 version instead of getting it on my typical PlayStation 5. Historically, I've gotten almost every single WWE wrestling game on PlayStation, the mainline series, right? Obviously, there was WrestleMania 19, 18, Day of Reckoning, which I still have never played Day of Reckoning 2. I really want to play that on the channel, on a live stream, because I want to experience it with you guys, because then you can give me tips as I'm playing it. I love the first one. I just never got around to playing the second one. So that's cool. This is freaking awesome. This makes the Nintendo Switch 2 version very appealing to me, and I love my Switch 2. I've been kind of holding off on playing some more games while we wait for the next big direct. I just kind of ran out of exclusives to play. I'm not going to rebuy third-party games that I've already played on other platforms. Pokemon Legends EA was really fun. Donkey Kong was my game of the year last year. That game was awesome. So I'm curious how it'll function and perform on the system, because the PlayStation 5 has PlayStation 5 Pro support for that version of the game. So now I'm torn between the two games. We really need cross progression on these games, especially now they're adding in all this Battle Pass and all these other things. If that's the case, they really need to figure out cross progression. That way we can play on our Nintendo Switch 2, upload our save, continue on the PlayStation 6 until PlayStation gets their own handheld, then you don't even need the Switch anymore. Man, these games, despite all of the negativity around them and the fact that they're putting a Battle Pass in a yearly release game, which is crazy to me, they're finally doing things I've always wanted them to do. Like third-person camera last year, intergender matches returning, body morphing is coming back this year. If the way that thing is worded is correct, I still on the fence about that, but the way they worded it sounds like body morphing is coming back to some extent. Maybe not like major body morphing, but hopefully a little bit. Like I was saying in all my videos, like I don't need a lot. I just need enough to actually make a difference, if that makes sense. Now, the other part of this video I want to talk about was community creation. So cross-community creation. So we have confirmation that the Nintendo Switch 2 version, the PS5 version, and the Xbox Series X version, or Series version, will all be cross-community creations. But what about PC? Let's read this and discuss. It says, we're still looking into it. Lionel Jinx said, there's definitely some gotchas there, and that way that we're handling, just the PC versus the main SKUs, but yeah, it's something that we know that the fans want, but we just got to do our due diligence on our end to make sure that whatever happens on PC side, because it's so customizable, to talk about modders, doesn't ruin the rest of the SKUs. So on PlayStation, Xbox, and now Switch 2, because there's some stuff that could potentially, we know, could just really mess up the people's experience on consoles. So, in my opinion, one of the reasons why the games have so many issues every single year is because people mod stuff and upload it to community creations, and because it's a foreign like file or mod, it kind of screws up your game whenever they update it or they do something to the game, like files, they add something in the back end or they change something. It screws up that mod, which thus screws up your game, which thus deletes your save. I have never lost a save on my PlayStation 5 or my PS4 ever, because I don't download anybody else's stuff on community creations anymore. I never downloaded anything ever since I heard about all the issues when it was first introduced. When we get near to the end of the game's life, sometimes I'll start downloading created wrestlers and stuff, or I'll download it on a version of the game or a separate game file. Like on my main save with my creations, I never download any community creations because I don't want it to mess up or delete my saves. And I've had zero issues. So I believe them on that part. Some of my other friends, even Mr. Dubs, I forget what game he said he was playing, where he had his whole universe set up, he made his wrestlers, he downloaded a bunch of wrestlers, and then the game glitched out on him and deleted his save, deleted all his progress, and deleted all his creations. So he was done, and I would have been done too at that point. I mean, you spend hundreds of hours getting everything set up to play, and then it does that, well, there you go. I think that PC mods, not because of the modders themselves, but because the files just aren't compatible with what they're making, screws up the game. So I think that's what they're doing here. I don't think this is a malicious attack against PC players because, they mod everything into the game for free, or, the bad apples do, but they actually make some really awesome creations. Well, those creations that, although they're awesome, also kind of damage the game's files, because if you've been around long enough, you know that these games are very fragile. Every time they add something, like look at last year. They added in the island and it broke the creator wrestler like 3 or 4 times before they finally got it to work and fix again, like halfway through the game's life. Yeah, the island really messed up the creator wrestler. So imagine throwing the anomaly of the modders who aren't on the dev team and can communicate, hey, this is what we're doing, keep an eye on this so we could fix this thing and this thing. Well, it's just like a recipe for disaster, if that makes sense. So I've been saying since day one, ever since, heck, before even 2K25 came out, they're probably going to lock off PC to their own thing because they don't want the mods or modders and their awesome creations to screw up the console versions. Because PC is basically it's open platform. They could put all the roadblocks and kernel level anti-cheat and all the stuff they want, but modders and PC players are extremely smart and intelligent. They'll find a way around it. So at some point, you might as well just be like, whatever, just give them their own thing, let them have fun with it, let them go nuts. They paid for the product, let them do whatever they want with it. And then over on console, well, we're just gonna all have to be playing by the rules, So we can share cross community creations with Xbox, PlayStation 5, and Switch 2, but we just can't share with PC, mainly because of the mods. So anyway, there's today's news I wanted to go over. Cross community creations, Nintendo Switch 2 version getting a bunch of awesome exclusive features. I really kind of just want to buy it on Switch 2 now, but I've been buying them all on PlayStation for so long. I want to get my trophies, but I never get the platinum anymore. The last one I got the platinum on was 2K22. Mainly because of my faction, because I didn't want to play through my faction again for 100 hours. I don't think it takes that long in the newer games, but it took forever in 2K22 because I think you had to do like 500 matches. God, that took forever. Anyway, sound off the comments below. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay frosty.